What's happening, YouTube? It's your boy Kite. Welcome to my channel if you are new. Today we're going to be ranking anime power systems. It's finally here. Y'all voted for this. Y'all wanted to do this. So hit the like button if you're here and you voted to see anime power systems ranked on a tier list. That's tough. I'm hyped for this today. I really am hyped for this. Speaking of that, I did a ranking or tier list on Jujutsu Kaisen curse techniques. If you want to check that out, if you're new here, go check that out. People seem to like it. It's pretty interesting. We rank like 40 something curse techniques from, S all the way to D tier or something like that. So check that out if you want to. I gave detailed explanations on why I put everything where. I'm not like the rest of these guys that just rank stuff and say, well, it's cool, it's strong. No, bro. We actually talk about it. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. Like the video, as I said, don't be hating, man. Show some love. You want to continue to see ranking videos, drop down in the comments what you want to see as a tier list. I can do anything anime related. Trust. And subscribe if you want to continue to see my content, man. I do various things, rankings, analytical videos, discussions. It doesn't really matter. I do it all. So subscribe if you want to see my videos. Let's get into it. Before though, let's talk about the criteria on what I'll be ranking the power systems on. Okay, so I have a system, a 3-part system. We're going to be ranking them on creativity, execution, and result. So this criteria is necessary so you understand why I'm putting stuff where. We need to come to a common ground, as I say, or we won't understand each other and you'll be like, he's tripping, why is that there? If you need an example of the criteria in question, let's just use devil fruits. Let's pick one of the random power systems, a popular one. Creativity would be, oh, I get the power from the fruits. All right, pretty creative, pretty thought out. Execution would be, oh, I have to eat the fruit to get the power. How do the fruits have powers? Well, they're the physical coagulation and manifestation of human desire in fruit form. Hey, pretty cool. I can see how you came to that. And the result would be you eat the fruit and then you end up with one of 3 powers, a zone type, a paramecia type, or a logia type, and they correspond to different things, elements, animals, or miscellaneous. That would be the creativity, execution, and result. So that's how we're going to grade all the other power systems on that type of scale. Now let's get into it. Let me pull up the ranking. Let's lock in, bro. I'm not cussing this time, but you're gonna understand why everything is where it is. Don't complain. If you don't like it, go make your own. And just make it make sense. If you're gonna say something, make it make sense. But don't get on here saying, well, I feel like this. No, bruh. Say it with your chest. You feel me? All right, let's get it in. If you know how I like to do my rankings and my tier list, I like to get a bones, a good structure, a skeleton for it. So I'm gonna put one at the top and at the bottom out the gate, or I'm gonna try to. So let's do that first. I think we all know, if you started watching anime after 2020, you probably don't know this because you're a fool. No, I'm playing. I mess with y'all. All new anime fans, y'all really brought anime up. No lie. Shout out to y'all. But everyone knows that Nin is the best power system in all of anime. Unequivocally, you can't debate that. There is nothing that any power system has over this power system. It's detailed. It's creative. It is, a lot of anime have copied it. That's all you need to know. And it's just beautiful. That's all. No more. I could talk about Nin all day. You want to make a video on Nin? I'll do it. Be the best video about Nin you've ever seen in your life. But we're going to leave that there. Now, what's terrible, bro? I don't want to say any of these are terrible. Disclaimer, some of your power systems that you like may be towards the bottom in D and in terrible, but you have to take into account that there are only about 30 power systems here. And so if I had all 30 million power systems in all of anime, then yeah, they would be up to the top, but I don't. So they're going to fall in the bottoms when compared to these other animes. Some are. So take that. Understand that it's a subjective list because not all of the anime are here to be compared and contrasted. So what's terrible, bro? I don't really know. No, I do know. Leveling, worst power system ever. It's the worst one out of all these by far. One person has access to it. Only one person has it, right? Let's talk about creativity. I rank up based on a game system, all right? It's not the first one to do that, and it's not really a creative thing. So it's all right. In terms of creativity, it's not that bad. You rank up based on like a video game system. Okay. Execution. Well, your little HUD shows up. your UI or UE, whatever, shows up and it tells you what you can do and how to level up. And then you beat monsters and you can level up. Execution, well, it just makes you stronger and it gives you random powers and allows you to evolve your class. You pick a class and you can evolve it. It's not that it's cool, but it's not cool enough. Like it seems like you phoned it in. It's like a prepaid thing. It was like, oh, templates for anime. I'm gonna make anime. Let me just go to templates, that template, leveling, and threw it in there. It's not creative. It's all right. It's really fan servicey. You know, nobody who's watching anime before 2020, their favorite anime is not solo leveling. And if it is, I don't know what to tell you. This is fan service manifested, like men's young boy, teenager fan service just manifested in an anime. That's what solo leveling is. So yeah, it's decent. The anime is good, but the power system is terrible. No ifs, ands, or buts. Okay, now let's try to fill in the other ones and get a really good structure here. Since we already talked about it, I'm just gonna go ahead and say that Haki and Devil Fruits in combination is A tier because not many anime have done dual power systems, and One Piece did it and did it well because they're not separate, they're one. Haki interacts with Devil Fruits and they have a certain relationship. Devil Fruits are really powerful, but you don't have to have a Devil Fruit to be the top of the verse. Haki can counteract Devil Fruits, but if you're stronger than someone, if your Devil Fruit is stronger than someone and they have Haki, you can still beat them with purely Devil Fruit. So it works pretty good. And then, you know, it's been doing it for so long and so much has been added onto it. There's also ways to develop there's 3 types of Haki and 3 types of Devil Fruit. Like, they're balancing it perfectly. There's not really much to say. It's just a really good power system overall. All right, let's see. Okay, hear me out here. Y'all might not like this, but Key has to be D tier. Now, with context, hear me out, guys. You got to hear me out every time I place something. I'm not just placing it for no reason. Key came to fruition. It came to life in a time where there was nothing to go off of. Dragon Ball was one of the first anime that ever became anything, if not the first, the Godfather. Everything that came after it was based off of it or based off of its children. So yeah, Key was in a time where there wasn't really much to go off of, but if we're basing it on my 3 things, creativity, execution, and results, it's really not that good. Because creatively, like I said, there was nothing to go off of, but it's just like life energy. All right, that makes sense. That's really coded in like the eastern part of the world and the Asian countries, Key and your life energy. Okay. Then you have the execution where it's just like I well up my Key, like I focus my Key, and then the result is like I can shoot out energy balls. Okay. All right, bro. Like that's not really creative. There's not much to that, so I don't really need to explain more on why Dragon Ball is D. But you could move it up higher because there was nothing to go off of. But we're just going to do my criteria. We're not going to do any context for it. If there was, it would be higher. Okay. Now, let's try to find a B tier. Let's see. All right. Check this out. Nah, bro. Let's go psychic powers, psychic abilities. All right. Now, the reason this goes above Key, because as I said, both the 3 criteria, creativity, execution, and results for Key they were mid. But the reason psychic abilities is a step up because the creativity of it is not really that good. The execution is also not really that good. But the result is fire. Like the result is really cool. You have these super psychic abilities that people can do anything. You can play with fire. There's pyrokinetics. There's different types of people that can teleport. See, now it doesn't make sense how you got to that, but what the result is really cool. So even though it's really cool, all the other things that it's missing bring it down, but it's still not below something like Key because it does have really cool aspects that manifest in a unique way. So yeah, psychic abilities is gonna have to go in C tier. Yeah. All right, now let's look for B tiers. Okay. Let's go something that has like the opposite. Gourmet Cells. If you don't know what this is from Toriko, and I recommend you go watch this show. I actually recommend you read it. It's really good, really creative, and gives One Piece Hunter x Hunter vibe. So if you like Hunter x Hunter and One Piece, you should read this. It has like if you really want to know what the Dark Continent is, read this. It's like they read Hunter x Hunter and was like, I know what the Dark Continent would be like, and they wrote their story based around it. It's sick. So gourmet cells, the whole thing is your appetite energy. Your gourmet cells get powered the more delicious food you eat. So in order to get stronger, you have to eat more delicious food. But the more delicious food is really hard to acquire. It either can be in really hard places to get, or it could be dangerous animals and you can't really defeat them. So in terms of creativity, it's genius. Okay, like based on my appetite and my energy and the power of my cells and delicious food I eat, cool. I've never really heard of something like that. Execution is, like I said, you eat food. The more delicious food you eat, the more powerful your cells become, your gourmet cells become. But execution is result is where we come to an impasse, where it's like, all right, it doesn't make sense because they kind of make up random powers and you don't really see how appetite energy and gourmet cells get to that. And so it has the first two, but the last one doesn't make as much sense as the first two. So I'm going to put it in B tier. It's just not on the level of an A tier, and it's not the best, obviously. So yeah, I'm cool with gourmet cells being there. Now, we got a good outline, a good base. Let's move on and try to start filling stuff in now that we have a good baseline. Okay, hear me out. I'm not a Chainsaw Man fan by any means, but I think that this is an A tier power system. I've only seen the anime, but I'm very familiar on the power system. So it's basically based on devils. I put it in parentheses, as you can see, fear under devil contracts, because it all stems from humans' fears. The humans' fears coagulate into devils, and the devils have certain powers based on what their fear is based around. It makes complete sense. It's super creative. You can see and understand every single detail of the power system. But there's many ways to get access to the power. You can be a devil itself. You could be a human that makes a contract with the devil and you get the powers. You can get access to their powers, a little bit of it. Or you could be like a fiend. You can control a corpse, a devil that controls a human corpse. And there's various other ways too, but everything makes sense. Everything is tied to one another and you can see how you get to everything. How do you get to be the devil? How does devil's power? Well, human fear coagulated into that. It's kind of like curse energy, but a little bit more. It makes way more sense than curse energy. I'm not gonna lie. And I like JJK way better than I like Chainsaw Man, but I'm not gonna sit here and lie to y'all. The creativity is genius. The execution is perfect. You make the contracts, or you possess a body, or you are a devil itself, and then the result is magnificent as well. You become a devil. You become a fiend. You become like you have a heart of a devil. It all makes sense. It's really good. It's beautifully laid out. I like this system. I like this power system. I'm not going to lie. It's really good. Even though I'm not a big fan of Chainsaw Man, to be honest. I don't know why. It just doesn't hit for me. But the power system scratches my brain. Okay, moving on. Let's go to... Y'all aren't going to like this, bro. This is a C tier. All right? It is, bro. You know why? Because as I just explained about devil contracts, or devils, if you want to say that, or fear, whatever you want to call the power system for Chainsaw Man, you can see in Chainsaw Man how exactly everyone's powers got to be what they are. It's the opposite for Bleach. Reiatsu, or Rei Ryoku, whatever you want to call it, they're kind of the same. Reiatsu is just manipulating Rei Ryoku. It doesn't make sense how you get from Reiatsu to Bankai. It doesn't make a lick of sense. Now, when I think of Bleach as a series or its power system, imagine this. I'll set the scene. Someone handed me a big 1,000-piece puzzle box. The picture's on the cover. Beautiful. Oh, God, I can't wait to see this. I can't wait to put this together, right? They open the box. They dump out all the pieces, and you see all the pieces. You're like, wow, like I can see the colors. This is going to be great. And that's it. It never gets put together. That's what Bleach looks like. It looks like I'm looking at a beautiful pile of an incomplete puzzle. That's what it looks like. It doesn't make sense, bro. Think of everyone's abilities. Freaking Izuru's Wabisuke, freaking Hyonimaru, everything you could think of, it doesn't make sense how you get to that. What do you do with your Reishi? How do you get Bankai? Oh, you fight your inner spirit? That still doesn't make sense. How does your inner spirit have these powers? That thing is you. Where are your powers coming from? Where are your ice powers coming from? Where are your fire powers coming from? It doesn't make sense at all. And so it's a C tier, but it had great potential to be an insane power system. You had Hado and Kido that got neglected. They introduced that and did nothing with it. And so it is a very incomplete puzzle. Like, they started putting it together and there's like big ass chunks of the power system just missing. And it's like, all right, bro, like, it's cool. The reason I'm putting it at C instead of D is because the result, fantastic. The creativity, it's pretty there. I like that. The execution, it's terrible. God awful. One of the worst executions of all time. But the result is amazing. These powers, these Bankai, these Shikai, they are super creative. It has one of the most creative, not only that, but all like the Visored and Arankar abilities. All of it is so sick, but it doesn't make sense how you get that power. It's just like, I have this power because of Reishi, because of who I am. Oh, you have something to do with ice and fire? No, you don't, bro. Stop. Cut it out. So yeah, I would love to put Bleach higher, but I can't. And honestly, it goes lower if the powers weren't super insane. So yeah, C tier is the best I can do for Bleach and Reiatsu. It is what it is, bro. I'm not gonna lie. So moving on. Curse Energy. This is, listen, I want to put this on A. Let me talk about it for a second. I may end up putting on A after I talk it out with myself. So, Curse Energy takes heavily from Nen. You got the contracts, all that stuff. So, the issue is the same with Bleach, kinda. How do you get from Cursed Energy to dividing space? How do I get from Cursed Energy to inverse? How do I get from Cursed Energy to like a lot of the abilities, like a lot of them, the majority of them do not make sense. Okay, something like 10 Shadows, that's a really good ability. Shrine, really good. It makes sense. Like, I'm just shooting energy blast. They're invisible. 10 Shadows, like, I can turn my Cursed Energy into shadows. Like, that's a little bit kind of hard to believe, but it makes more sense than like Limitless and Inverse and all these ridiculous abilities. Curse Spirit Manipulation, really good. That makes sense. But the rest of the powers don't really make sense on how you get from the source energy, which is negative emotions, to dividing space. That doesn't make sense. So yeah, Curse Energy, I would like to put it higher, but there's a really big gap. In terms of creativity, genius. On the same as Devil Contracts. Fear makes these weird, monstrous entities. Okay? Now, in the Devil Contracts, it makes sense. You make contracts with these. And then in Curse Energy with Jujutsu Kaisen, it doesn't really make sense that much. And yeah, that's just how it is. But it could be A. The only reason it's not C is because you have things like Positive Energy and Binding Vows. Those things are really genius, and I like those things. But the other stuff just drags it really down. It's poor in execution, and yeah, the execution really makes it just fall below an A tier. Okay, so moving on. Check this out. The 1 and 2 headbands. Now, a lot of y'all might not consider this a power system, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to say it is, and it's well done. It's fantastic. It is probably the most simple power system on this. Not probably, it is the most simple power system on all this list. You have 2 headbands. You have the number 2 headband, which can challenge the number 1 headband. But anyone can challenge the number 2 headband. And it's like the whole anime is based off of the power system. Because if you're number 2, you have to fight and win to become number 2, so you're strong. You are the only one that can challenge number 1 headband. But eventually, just having the number 2 headband, you're obviously weaker than number 1, or else you'd be number 1. But having the number 2 headband will ultimately make you stronger through everybody trying to fight you and get you strong enough to fight number 1 headband. It's genius, bro. It's so simple, but it makes sense. And everyone has a chance to get the headbands. You just have to be strong enough. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. I like that everyone can have it. Everyone can do it. Different from Reiatsu. Everyone can't have that energy. Everyone can't be a Soul Reaper. Everyone can't be all the other things. Everyone can't be a psychic. Like, that makes sense. I like that. And so 1 and 2 headbands, that's a really decent power system. It's really unique. And off pure creativity, it's probably one of the best on here. Like, it'd probably be, yeah, it's A tier in terms of creativity. I don't know what to tell you. Execution, fantastic. Result, fantastic. Creativity, spot on. All right. Now, this isn't really a power system, but let's just say Ego from Blue Lock. This is terrible. I'm not gonna lie. It's bad. It doesn't really... Your ego fuels you to make these abilities. Once again, this is a tentative choice because it's not really a power system, but I put it on here because I thought it had a cool aspect to it. But it's dog shit. I'm not gonna lie. It doesn't make sense. Like, they make these abilities and a guy's ego will get crushed and it'll get built back up, and then it allows them to make these abilities and get stronger. Like, it's all about manipulating the ego, and a lot of it doesn't make sense because then you have people like Isagi, who's supposed to end up being the strongest, but he'll completely remove his ego and that somehow makes him stronger. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really not good. It's not put together, but nonetheless, I put it on here to show you, to give variety and range. It is not good. It's terrible, in fact. Okay. Check me out on this, bro. Vital Instrument from Gachiakuta. This, when I first read it, thought it was going to be like the second coming. Like, I thought it was going to be Nin and then Vital Instrument, but kind of took a drop down for me. So a Vital Instrument is really anything, but it's something that you care for and put a lot of love into, and eventually you can channel that emotion, that care into the weapon and basically give it like a soul almost. Okay, that as a base, creatively, genius. Wow, like, that's really good. Execution, mid. All right, it's just feelings and care you put into it, and that's it. All right, we get it. Result, your weapon turns and changes shape and can get like various powers, but not anything crazy. So in terms of creativity, it's really good. And it took a real dive for me when they said the best way to evolve your ability and make it stronger was like just using it and caring for it better. That's just too simple, and it was too obvious, too on the nose, and they're not really diving into what that actually means. What does caring for your weapon mean? Cleaning it? Fighting more battles with it? Getting more experience with it? I think those are included, but it's gonna have to be B tier, man. It started off hot, but then as we started to go on, it started to flatline. It started to become dull. And it was like, all right, like, I get it, Vital Instruments, but they didn't really keep expanding on it and showing us what Vital Instruments can do and leveling up. It's like everyone was kind of the same. All right, like, I don't know if that makes sense to you. A lot of y'all probably won't get it because y'all don't think about it like how I think about it, but all Vital Instruments kind of seem the same, you know? I don't know how to explain that to you. That's the best way I could say it. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, then it is what it is, bro. All right, Yoma Energy. This is from Claymore. If you haven't read or watched this series, I would highly suggest you doing it. It's really good seinen in the way of like Berserk almost. Yoma Energy. They don't consume. They have to get like Yoma, which is a monster DNA or demon DNA, mixed into their own, and it gives them powers. I'm gonna put it at D tier because it's not something everyone can have, and you have to get it like sewn into you. Like, you have to get the parts of the demon mixed into you, and it's kind of like, all right, like, it's really cool. And then they go on to have really cool Yoma, and you're like, oh, like, those are awakened beings, voracious eaters, abyssal like beings. It gets really cool. Like, it turns into something insane, but the power system is kind of like, it's all right. So yeah, D tier for the power system, but if you haven't seen this, it's really cool. Like, you just have to check it out. I can't explain to you why it's cool, but it's actually really cool. Okay. Soul Resonance. Or Soul Powers. What do you think this would be? Honestly, let's talk about Soul Resonance. It's like, the reason it's really creative. You have weapons and you have humans. If the two souls of a weapon and human come together, they have Soul Resonance, and it can make both of them stronger. Humans wield the weapons, but it's kind of like you're weaponizing your soul, and you can't really do much, but it's super creative, to be honest. But it's more for the weapons. I'm gonna put this at the top of C tier, possibly B tier, but there's just not that many things you can do with it. You can put out your own soul wavelength, but for the most part, it's resonating with weapons and kind of like changing their form and making them stronger. So it's pretty good, but it's really not that, the result is not that cool. But the creativity, actually, I think the result is cool, but it's just not that cool. The creativity is pretty decent. The execution is all right. It's not anything crazy, just like resonating and getting on the same wavelength as your weapon. It's all right. So we're going to put Soul Resonance on C tier. All right, let's move on. Okay. Let's see. Imperial Arms. Now, this might be B tier. Ah, dude. Okay, so Imperial Arms is from Akame Ga Kill. Or they're called Tegu. They're weapons that were made by like science mixing like animal parts, mythical beast into weapons and various other things. And they come in the forms of all different things. Like you can drink a Tegu Imperial Arms, you can wear it. It could be a weapon. Like it comes in so many different forms. So the creativity, S tier. Execution, all you have to do is drink it, wear it, possess it, and you got it. But it does have to be compatible with you. So it's not everyone can do it. And then it manifests in the form of powers, and you just get those powers. Like, that's it. So I'm trying to figure out, I think it's a B tier. Now, it might be C tier. Honestly, it might be C tier. It's more, no. Listen, I really like this. It's one of my favorite power systems, but there's just not that much variety. I think there's only a certain set amount of Imperial Arms or Tegu, so that doesn't always have to deduct points, okay? Because like with Devil Fruits, there's not an infinite amount of Devil Fruits, and not everyone can get one. You kind of just have to find it. But with Imperial Arms, it ranks down because they have possession. It has to be like given to you in a sense, or maybe your like government possesses it and they give it to you, or you find it. It's really different, but it's really good in terms of creativity. And execution is simplistic, but well thought out. But the result of the powers is really cool. You can get ice powers. You can turn into a giant robot. Like you can do anything you think of. There's animals. There's all types of Imperial Arms. So the creativity and the variety is really good. There's just not that much of it. And I just don't think I could put it low key. When I see Vital Instruments, boom, I had to drop this down. Because Vital Instruments is kind of the same. Like Vital Instruments is not on the level of Curse Energy. It's not. I can't put it in the same tier because Curse Energy has made some of the most spectacular powers we know today as anime fans. And putting Vital Instruments there would be a disservice to the community. It is not up there. But we're talking about in terms of power systems, the power systems themselves, not the impact that the show had. So yeah, I have to bring that down and put Imperial Arms on the C tier. This is tentatively ranked horizontally. It's more about the vertical ranking, not the horizontal ranking. I'm gonna say that again. I always say it. So that's it for Imperial Arms. If you haven't seen Akame Ga Kill, go check it out, man. Like it's pretty good. All right, moving on. Tao. This is from Hell's Paradise. So this is a ripoff of Hunter x Hunter's Nen. Blatantly, it is. That's fine, because if you're going to copy the best, more than likely you'd have some success. But the thing about Tao is you can do like fire, you can do all like these weird things, but it doesn't make sense. The creativity, it's all right because it's a clear ripoff of something else. So there's not really that much creativity. The execution, okay, once again, the execution is a ripoff. You kind of just have to focus and sense the energy. The execution is not that good. The result is also not that good. So this ultimately would end up in a D tier. It's just not that creative. It's not original. And for it being a ripoff, it doesn't really have like that much impact. It also takes heavily from Naruto as well, with like the ninjas and like using fire and stuff. It's all right. It's good for the show, but the power system is not that good. Hell's Paradise is good though, but it could have had a better power system in my opinion. Okay, check me out here. Grimoires. Now this is from Black Clover. I'm calling it grimoires. It's magic, but in order to wield the magic, you need a grimoire. And that goes not only for all the 4 kingdoms, the diamond, Clover, Heart, and Spade Kingdoms. But in the Land of the Sun, where Yami's from, they also use like scrolls. So like grimoires is really the power system. Like the shit has to be on paper. If that makes sense. So grimoires, it's kind of like the main staple for magic in anime. Is this a B tier, bro? I think this is B tier, low B tier, because in terms of creativity, it's pretty good. Like you get magic itself is not creative because so many things have magic, but the fact that you have to get it from a book, the detail about you get it when you're 15, but that's kind of like where it stops, because then we get execution and it's like, okay, like you have spells in your book. Well, how do I get new spells? Do I have to find them? Well, no, like you'll fight, and then if you fight hard enough and you need it bad enough, a spell will kind of appear. Like that's not execution. That's not good, bro. That's not creative. It's not cool. Like it doesn't make sense. It kind of feels like you just phoned that in. You didn't put much effort into that. Anybody could have thought of that. The execution, on the other hand, the result, on the other hand, is pretty good. You get giant magical powers that do various things, because you'll end up with magic like dark magic, super interesting. Slash magic from Jack the Ripper, the Mantis Captain, Von Johnson's, even Asta. But like, you can't put it up to A because, once again, you can see how you got to each one of these power systems. Haki is your willpower manifest. I want to be stronger. I want my body to be stronger. Armament. I will my sight to be better. Further. Future sight. I will to dominate. I'm a king. Conqueror's Haki. Devil fruits. You can see. Desires of humanity. Manifest. Like all these devil contracts. I already explained it. 1 and 2 headband. Somebody created the headbands and said the strongest 2 people have these. Fight each other. Anyone can fight the number 2, but only number 2 can fight number 1. Everything makes sense. As you go down, there are big jumps, as I've explained it. You can't really understand how you get from the source energy to the resulting ability. So I know how devil fruits come about. I don't know how you get from cursed energy to the technique of limitless. How do I get from magic to spells? Like, where do my spells come from? That's the issue. Like, how do I get more spells? Then you see someone like Julius that has a freaking no cover grimoire. So yeah, it is a really good power system, but it lacks a connecting dot that would really take magic over the edge. And I don't think anyone in the history has ever made a magic power system that has connected that dot. You kind of need a source energy, you need a medium, and then you have the abilities. A lot of people that make power systems are missing the medium. They're missing the thing that turns it into and connects everything. So for example, for Nin, you have life energy. And then at the end, you have Hatsu. So I can conjure this object, or I can enhance my body. And the medium is how you get to that. Well, Nin is the perfect power system because the medium is the Nin affinities. You have 6 affinities and they put you into those categories, and that explains exactly how you get to the end result. That's why Nin is perfect and why every other power system kind of lacks, because it doesn't make sense exactly. You can't follow it step by step as to how you got to where you got. Grimoires and magic is the same, but it's earlier on. How do I get my spells? Where do my spells come from? And do I just have to go find spells? Where do these books come from? There's a lot of stuff that is missing when it comes to grimoires, and that's why I can't put it on the A tier. It has to fall down to B tier. Okay, now spirit energy. Once again, this is gonna go on the D tier because it doesn't really make sense. Like, I have spirit energy and I can shoot it out. Or Kuwabara can manifest a spirit energy sword, but he can slice dimensions with it. All right, bro. Okay, whatever, bro. And then Hiei can call the flame of hell. I love Hiei, but how does that make sense? The only person that really makes sense is Kurama, because he puts his energy into like seeds and plants that already exist, and he just makes them grow and he can control them. That makes sense. The other ones, every other power in the series basically doesn't really make sense. It's not creative, and the execution doesn't really make sense, but the result is pretty decent. So that's why it's not on terrible. All right, alchemy. Now, you're going to have to explain this to me because I've never watched Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, but I have watched Full Metal Alchemist. I've watched the original series. It's not something that I was particularly interested in. It didn't call to me, which is strange because everyone loves this power system, but I'm just going to, for the sake put it in B, because what I do know about alchemy is that, you know, there are connecting. You have to trade something. You can't just get something. So in the end, it doesn't make sense, but I don't know enough about it to properly rank it in like the A to B or A to best category. So enlighten me on alchemy. Okay, quirks. This is also a B tier power system. It has to be. Think about it. It's a power system based on your DNA. How do you get a quirk? Well, you're born with a random one at first. Or if your parents have quirks, you have a combination of both of those quirks that make a new quirk, or it's a combination of both those quirks. That's cool. That makes sense. That's really creative. The execution is pretty cool. How did I get that? Well, I was born with it and it's a combination. And then the result is pretty cool as well. All the resulting quirks, explosion, permeation, overhaul, any quirk you can think of, that's really cool. The only reason it doesn't jump up to A is because once you start trying to upgrade your quirk, then it stops making sense. It stops making sense because how do you upgrade your quirk? Okay, you just work with it, and as you get older, it gets stronger. But Bakugo like upgraded the crap out of his quirk in that final battle, and it didn't really make sense. You just kind of see like all the freaking sweat flowing through his vein. No, dude, that doesn't make any sense. So quirks is really good, but it lacks a certain impact. It's kind of just like magical powers based on your DNA. Honestly, quirks low-key could be an A-tier ability. The randomness of it is beautiful. But then again, you have the quirk singularity theory, and it's just like, all right, the power started getting ridiculous at the end with Deku and One for All and all that stuff. Like, yeah, so I'm gonna put it, bro. Honestly, I like that. It may move up to A. We'll see. Okay, pyrokinetics. This, hear me out, man. I want to put this on A tier, but here, let me tell you why I'm not going to. But I'm going to tell you why it's so high. Pyrokinetics is just fire, right? Manipulation of fire. But somehow the creator of Fire Force was able to make that interesting and put a new spin on fire, on just the ability of fire. Like one of the most basic abilities every fiction, from anime to comics to anything, has come up with is fire. They all come to fire abilities. But he put a spin on it that is insane. Like there's levels to it. There's first gen pyrokinetics, which are freaking infernals. And there's second gen who can manipulate fire. Then there's third gen that can produce fire. And then you get people like Benimaru who are second and third gen that can conjure fire and manipulate it. That's pretty cool. And then you have fourth generation, which is the adult elite. It is a brilliant power system, but I want to say there's no variety, but then you get people like Kareem that can use ice and somehow, I forgot what he did, like suck the heat out of something and it freezes it. Like that's genius. And they just took fire to a place where no one ever thought fire abilities could go. And so I think pyrokinetics is high B tier, low key A tier. I'm not going to lie. Once again, once I get everything, I'll kind of like rearrange it and see where everything goes. Next, breathing styles. Okay, now this is pretty creative. In terms of creativity, as I said, it's really good. Execution. Okay, you train in the styles, all that stuff. Result. The result telling us that the fire and the stuff doesn't really exist is fine, because if you told me, if I was ranking this and those like fire and wind and serpents were actually real, I'd be like, that doesn't make sense, bro. So like it has to be low, but it doesn't. This is a simple power system, but it makes sense. Breathing techniques, total concentration, the Demon Slayer mark. It's all based on what humans can actually do. How do I turn my blade red? Really squeezing the blade. It all makes sense. The see-through world, a selfless state. It all makes sense. So I really like breathing styles as a power system. It's pretty good. None of it, you can connect and see how you get to everything. And then you have Blood Demon Arts, which I could have put both, but Blood Demon Arts is like a totally different aspect of it, and I'd have to dive way into that, but I just didn't want to. So breathing styles is a B tier power system. I like it. I'm not gonna lie. First form, Hinokami Kagura. Yeah. Okay, now moving on. RC cells. This is an A tier power system. Cut and dry. Everything makes sense. So you have ghouls. Ghouls have certain special cells. RC cells. Okay, that gives you ghoul powers. What are ghoul powers? I can manifest these tendrils that can do things. But not only that, they take it a step further and say you have to be one of 4 categories. Bikaku, Rinkaku, Kokaku, and Ukaku. That makes sense. And they all manifest on a different spot on the back, and they all have special traits. And they all interact with each other in different ways. So Bikaku may be strong against Rinkaku. Like, it's such a beautiful, intricate web of a power system, but it's also simple enough to understand. Like, it's really good. RC Cells is a really good power system, and how they did the anime of Tokyo Ghoul really put a wet blanket on what it could have been. But yeah, RC Cells by itself is a really good power system. It's like liquid muscle manifest. Like, pretty good. I like it. And then if you eat other people, if you eat other ghouls, you can get access to their Kagune and stuff like it's all pretty good. It's all really good and thought out. I like it a lot. You should too. Okay, magic. Okay, this is C tier from Fairy Tail. It's C tier because it's just magic, and you can either be taught magic, you can be born and inherit magic like Lucy's celestial spirit magic, and you can be embedded with magic like a Dragon Slayer Lacrima. It's pretty good, but I'm not going to say it's better than Grimoires, because Grimoire, having an actual vessel and a tool where your power comes from, and it makes sense why you have this power, makes sense. So I'm going to have to put Grimoires just a tier above this magic, and that's why Fairy Tail's magic is on the C tier, because it's not really creative. The execution is and then the result, obviously, it looks really cool. And you have Dragon Slayers and various different types of magic users. It's pretty cool, but nonetheless, just having magic as a base isn't enough to put you up there. You have to have extra steps, and it has to weave and come together and make sense. So let's move on. Branch of Sin. This is from Dead Man Wonderland, and you can manifest different blood abilities. This is also going to be a I'm going to put this in C tier as well. So you can manifest blood, or let your blood come out of your body. You can take shapes. It can be blades, it could be weapons, it could be a whip, it could be bombs. You could set your blood on fire. So all those aspects of just blood, that's pretty creative. It's pretty creative how they did it. But the result, the execution, it's all right. But the result is all right too. It's not overwhelming. It's just like having a whole anime about the blood manipulation curse technique from Jujutsu Kaisen. And that can be cool, but it's just not enough. Like, we need more variety, but the ability itself is pretty good. It's just not better than the ones above it, if that makes sense. Okay, now let's do the next blood. You have Oni blood and black bacteria from Togen Anki. So you have Oni blood for the Onis, and then black bacteria for the Momotaro family. This is all right, bro. This is D tier, because it's like, where does the black bacteria come from, and how can they form it into weapons and possess corpses with it? And then the Oni blood is like super strong. Oni have more blood, and it just kind of like takes on. This is a lot like Reiatsu. It's kind of like based on your inner, what type of person you are, is what ability you'll get and end up with, what shape your blood will take. And then it's just really not that thought out. It's not that intricate. It's simple. It's not bad, but I wouldn't say it's better than any of these up there. All right, next, kaiju weapons. This has a lot of potential. You kill kaiju, and you can make, out of their corpses, you can make special weapons that have the power of those kaiju. And you can have combat suits as well. The real power system is like combat energy, or whatever it was called. Can't remember. But like, how much of their combat power can they release? Kaiju weapons it's C tier. It's above that. Just because there's not a lot of kaiju weapons. Like, I know how you got the kaiju weapons, but there's just not that many of them, because there are only, up to the story where I'm at, there are like 15 numbered kaiju, and you can only really make weapons out of numbered kaiju for real. So There's not that much potential for variety, but it's still cool nonetheless. It has a lot of potential if it is expanded upon. Okay, we're down to our last three. Let's see. We have chakra. Let's get chakra out of the way. Okay, chakra is gonna be B tier as well. Because, I mean, you got a life energy, right? Or like, yeah, it's a life energy. It comes from a tree or a freaking fruit. Humans got it. You can manipulate it. Okay, I see why you can make chakra blades. And you could stick to the water. You could say the chakra can stick to things. All right, you can heal with chakra. That makes sense. But when you start adding the releases, that's when it gets muddied. And you kind of just have to accept that, oh, okay, it just does that. Because how do you turn life energy into wind? You can't just give it an elemental aspect. That doesn't really make sense objectively. It's really cool for the series and I like it, and that's why it's in B tier. But like I said, all of these up here make sense on how you get to the end result. You can see how you get from RC cells all the way to Kagane. You can see how you get from Haki all the way to advanced conquerors or devil fruits to Logia and all those abilities. You can see how you, every step in how you get to those. Chakra is one that is not that. You can't see how you get from chakra to just any ridiculous Amaterasu. That doesn't make sense, bro. That doesn't make sense. Just because I have a red eye, I can now make inextinguishable black flames that eat and burn until the thing has disappeared. It's sick. The result, fantastic. So I'll put chakra up here, but it just doesn't make sense. You have wind release, yin, yang, wood style, all that stuff, the mixing of it. It has all these details that if you just knew how it got to that, it'd be A, maybe top of A. But there's a lot of missing pieces in my opinion. It just doesn't make sense, bro. It makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. And I know a lot of y'all are not gonna understand what I'm saying, but this life energy, it just doesn't make sense how you turn it into fire. I have fire style. No, dude. How? Why do you have that fire style? Okay, you have it. Fine. I won't argue with that. That's cool. Everyone has an innate style that they have. Okay, how do you turn chakra into fire? No one can. You can't explain it, and that's why it's on B tier, because you can't explain how you get from chakra to fire, or chakra to wind, or chakra to water. It doesn't make sense, and so that's why it has to be on B tier, because the result, like from execution to result, there's a gap in there that doesn't make any sense. All right, the last two. Sorcery. This is from Kagurabachi. Now, this is going to be C tier. I want to put it higher. If it was just the enchanted blades, it would be A tier or something, because it's so cool. You forge these blades with special ore that they have these natural abilities, and they each have like 3 abilities. You can access them, and the more you use it, the deeper you can dive and become one with the sword and enter the true realm of it. Makes sense, but that's not the power system. It's not just enchanted blades, it's sorcery in general, and most people will have sorcery, and it's just like, okay, why do you have the ability to conjure like trees? Why do you have the ability to make like Dharma bombs? It doesn't make sense how you get to that. Once again, the creativity is good. The execution, not so much. Result, great. But the execution and how you get from sorcery energy to wood doesn't make sense unless you're like planting a seed and you're doing that, which we don't know. I'm putting sorcery here because we don't know that much about it. Kagurabachi is not that old. It's like the series is like what, a year or 2 old, something like that. So yeah, this is only on C because we don't know enough about the power system. We've been focusing on the enchanted blades, which are kind of like an alternate subcategory of sorcery itself. Because if you use an enchanted blade, you get your sorcery taken away from you. So it's pretty cool, and there's a lot of good elements to it, but they need to tie it all together. Just with time, this power system will eventually get better, in my opinion. Now, lastly, stands. I've never watched JoJo. And I always said, if you've known me since my first channel, I will never watch JoJo until I hit 100,000 subs on YouTube. So if you want to help in that, be my guest. If I hit 100,000 subs, I will watch all of JoJo's or read it. I will write Hey, I'll do a video on every single season, in depth, my thoughts, if you want to see that. So subscribe if you want me to eventually watch JoJo's. But stands, I don't know much about. A lot of people love the power system. I know that. Obviously, it comes from these arrows. If you want to write an essay down on what it actually is, I'd read it. But I don't know too much about it. But I know people like it. But once again, a lot of people like solo leveling. So can you really trust what all the fans like? I'm not going to do stands like that. I'm going to say stands is B tier, the bottom. Because I don't understand anything about it. I bet even if I did, it still wouldn't make sense. Like, it still would be around here. It could possibly get to A tier, but not. I doubt. It's very rare that a power system is like those on A tier, where you can see every single step. I know where these arrows came from. I know why these arrows have the powers they have, and I know why these persons are able to get these powers and why they manifest in the way they manifest. It is very rare that an anime can do all those things. So yeah, that's the list, guys. That's the ranking. Obviously, only one is going to go at the top, and there's a couple in the bottom. But let me know your thoughts on this list, man. I kind of explained to you exactly why. I gave the criteria. You had to have creativity, you had to have execution, and your result had to be good. Not only that, but you have to seamlessly connect all three of those. And if you can't do that, that'll be docked off your points depending on where you fell short in that process. Hopefully that, makes it clear for y'all on why this list is the way it is. Take one last look before I switch off of it. Yeah. Let me know your thoughts, man. That's me ranking anime power systems. I can do more power systems, obviously. Let me know what else you want me to rank, and I will rank that. It could be anything, anime villains. It could be big 3 anime arcs ranked. It could be anything ranked. Let me know down. Leave a like and a comment, guys. I will catch you in the next one. Check out my Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Technique ranked video. Peace.
Kimi no kimochiを大事にしなかった私の頭